All right, it seems like we have a self-hating biracial woman. She claims that her dad is white and her mom is black. Now, I'm not too interested to know about her daddy. What I want to know is, what kind of black woman was her mother? Was she the type of black woman who doesn't identify with the culture, aka she hates black people? Or was she, kind of like, just a normal black woman who, she ain't hood, but she ain't square either, kind of right there in the middle? I doubt it. I think she probably was like a Candace Owens or something like that. I couldn't imagine a black mother like mine raising something like this. I just couldn't. And my mother's a very classy lady, but man, all of this talking disparagingly about your own people wouldn't fly where I was growing up. But let's get into it.
Story time. My mom was black and my dad is white, and I grew up around white people. I didn't really know much about black culture until black culture invited me in. Pages like Hollywood Unlocked, famous basketball player wives, and other hood commentators.
But she said something interesting, y'all, and I'm gonna let it play, but we gotta break this video down. She didn't grow up around black people. She grew up around white people. And a lot of times people like this don't have anything tangible in real life to actually formulate their own opinion about us. It's all taught to them via the internet, social media, TV, the radio, movies, all of that entertainment stuff. So, you got to take that with a grain of salt when you listen to these people.
Really liked my work, and so I started working with black people. And I was suddenly thrust into a crash course in black culture and what was considered black excellence and what was celebrated by this people. I've worked with all groups and all cultures and all skin tones, but there is one group who is a problem. And it's not about the color of their skin. It's about the content of their character.
Sure it is.
When these famous black celebrities started to put me on to their black clientele, I got to experience what it was like to have black clientele. And let's just say it was a complete nightmare. It started with the chargebacks. I had never had Hispanics or white people do my program and accept my services and then call their bank and say it was fraud.
Somebody dead in my fucking people. That's cap. That's cap. That's cap. Dead in my face. That's cap.
Never is a strong word. Never is a strong word. Or did you just not pay attention to the race until you started seeing the influx of black people coming in? But, I'm going to let her rock out.
Fortunately, I've always had good contracts, so we usually win, but it was a major problem only coming from black people. What? And then there was the fact that this group was the sickest group, both physically, spiritually, and had experienced the most trauma, not from white people, but from their own family members. The most molested group are black women and black men with the highest level of herpes, the highest level of diabetes.
Now, you know what? The diabetes one, that's probably accurate. But we're going to have to investigate that herpes claim because, man, this is going to be anecdotal. But in my experience, I didn't start seeing cold sores and fever blisters until I went to a predominantly white school, man. Real talk. Matter of fact, bro, I'm gonna show y'all something. I just came across a video earlier today and I was like, damn, he's so comfortable on camera showing this shit. But watch this.
I'm in a scat pack at work right now.
And I'm sorry you catching the stray, bro, but I'm just saying.
Talk in this car.
The
interior's kind of like gross. It's got cloth seats, like no sunroof. It's just nothing crazy, nothing special.
Look, bro, no black person I know would have made this video until that shit right there was cleared up. Real talk. I'm dead ass serious, man. No black person I know would have made this video until this here was cleared up. Cause that shit on his lip got some shit on his lip.
I drove the thing, dude. This thing flies. I take back everything I ever thought about it. Never really said anything about it, but this car is awesome. I would buy one. Worth the money. This thing is sick.
I'm glad you like the car, brother. Look what the comments say. Look what the comments say. That's the HSV1, ain't it? She got you too, huh? Are we not going to talk about the elephant in the scat pack? No, they zoomed in on it, bro. Come on, man. Ooh, bro, your confidence in posting this is next level. It really was. And he left it up there. You got to respect it, man. Need to buy some Abreva, my boy. Worried about a scat. And again, bro, I apologize for you catching this unnecessary stray. And I'll give y'all another anecdotal example. I was dating a girl in high school, and she was one of those black women whose friend group was white. She was the token, but I liked her. She was a good person. But one time we went somewhere to a water theme park, and she didn't have no water. We was all the way at the top by the ride something, right? And like one of her homegirls who had this same situation going on talking about you can have some of my drink, and she actually drunk it, bro. And I was just like, yeah, you not really one of us, because nobody I know growing up would have drunk after someone that had that shit on their lip, bro. Now let's get into this claim that black people have more herpes, black women have more herpes, and all that kind of stuff. You know why that's the case? I'm gonna show y'all something. So I just wanted to show y'all something. This is what I got from Perplexity. I screenshotted it. What race of women are more likely to get tested for STDs? Because I know the answer to this already. Black women in the United States are more likely to get tested for sexually transmitted diseases compared to women of other races. National surveys from 2011 to 2013 showed that 55.3% of black females reported STD testing within the past year, compared to 34% in Hispanic females and only 27% of white females. So I know for a fact they are just walking around here undiagnosed with these herpes diagnoses, bro. That's what it is. Because, man, I work with a lot of white people, bro. Cold sores is common. I'm just calling a spade, man. You know that dude I just showed y'all? I know he probably kissed a few women before, and they ain't gonna get tested to see if they got that shit.
You pointing late.
You know what I'm saying?
The highest level of kidney disease, the highest level of cancer, the highest level of autism. All were coming from this one group. And this one group loves to celebrate dysfunction.
And you know why black people have high levels of cancer? Because unfortunately, these corporations, these companies, they have a tendency to put businesses that pollute black communities smack dab in the heart of the city where black people live. You got certain places out here in Louisiana called Cancer Valley, Cancer Alley, one of the two, and where large populations of black people live, they're opening up chemical plants.
Did you know that there is a place in the United States where descendants of enslaved Africans are being poisoned on the same land their ancestors were once forced to work? It's called Cancer Alley, an 85-mile stretch of land between Baton Rouge and New Orleans, Louisiana, lining the mighty Mississippi River. Now let's talk about how deep this goes. This region was once home to hundreds of plantations. Black people were enslaved here. They forced to harvest sugarcane in brutal conditions. When slavery ended, many of our ancestors stayed. They built homes and churches and schools in those same communities. They turned pain into power. They built legacy from the ashes of oppression. But fast forward to the 20th and the 21st century, and those very communities were targeted again. This time not with whips and chains, but with chemical plants and pipelines. Over 150 petrochemical facilities were built right there, turning these once thriving black neighborhoods into what we now know called Cancer Alley today in 2025. You think this is a coincidence? Not at all. This is environmental racism. These companies knew exactly what they were doing. They didn't build next to wealthier, wider areas. They set up shop where they thought folks wouldn't be able to fight back. Now let's be clear, black life is being devalued once again. In places like St. James Parish, families are getting cancer at astronomically high rates. Children are growing up with asthma and chronic illnesses. Today, funeral homes are seeing more business than schools are seeing graduates. And yet, these communities are still fighting. People like Sharon Levine, a former school teacher turned activist, are standing up, they're organizing, and they're saying, not on our land, not to our people, and not anymore. So today's spotlight isn't just about injustice, it's about resilience. It's about knowing our history, recognizing how systemic racism shows up even in the air that we breathe, and doing something about it. Because if we don't fight for our own people, who will? We are the legacy of the enslaved. We are the resistance of the oppressed, and we are the hope of the next generation. And we're not going to stay silent. Now drop a black fist in the comments and share this with somebody who needs to hear this so they can make a difference.
Things that we eat, cancer. You know what I'm saying? Like, a lot of people living on these shoestring budgets in the hood are eating these foods that the companies are putting chemicals in that are linked to having cancer. So it's like, it's a catch-22. They're too poor to afford the organic food. So the food that they can afford is, you know, cancer written, basically. Is all socioeconomic.
It isn't necessarily being African American. What it is eating the African American diet. As I mentioned before, the African American diet is laden in fat, animal fat in particular, laden in sugar, what feeds cancer, and also very high in processed foods, which has no fiber. And a combination of those three things are, as I said before, is a prescription for cancer. So the African American diet is definitely potentially a risk factor. The African American diet are not only high in those things, but it's high in foods that are fried, barbecued, overcooked, ultra processed, those type of foods. So you got to get those foods out of the diet because those foods are inflammatory, and inflammatory foods cause cancer to grow.
So long story short, it wasn't very profitable working with these people. It caused a lot of drama. It caused a lot of grief. And I got to discover that this group needs to be exorcised of a serious cultural demon. The demon is called the ghetto black demon. Anyways, that's my story, and I'm sticking to it.
Hey, bro, you know the interesting thing about these type of content creators, they know that their audience isn't going to go fact check them. They know this. If we did a little inquiry about what crimes white people lead, let's just go down that rabbit hole. What crimes in America do whites lead? And give me as many as you can. Because you're not finna sit up here and just talk shit about black people. We're going to put the facts out there about y'all too. Straight up. White Americans lead in several crime categories in the U.S., particularly in those offenses where their share of arrests or offenses is higher or proportional to their share of the population. Most notably, whites account for the majority of arrests or offenses in, let's go, rape and sexual assault.
Pastor who wore Charlie Kirk's freedom shirt during a sermon has just been arrested for soliciting minors and disturbing images of child SA abuse material. This man was out here preaching about freedom while preying on kids. He was wearing a freedom shirt while preying on kids. We keep seeing the same people in this same political and religious crowd preaching about morality while being exposed. So conservatives, when are y'all going to start calling this out? When are y'all going to start holding your own accountable instead of pretending this stuff doesn't happen in your own crowd, in your own base? Or are y'all just going to come up with another conspiracy theory blaming the left like y'all always do instead of looking in your own house?
Whites make up the majority of arrests for rape. And she's talking about we need a spiritual cleansing. Around, that's some demonic shit right there. Around 46 to 56% in other sex offenses, a higher proportion than other racial groups, roughly matching or exceeding population share. See, the difference between me and a lot of these other people who get on the internet and they share these statistics, they're doing it from a malicious place. Their intent is evil. My intent is to basically raise awareness, because here's the thing. You're talking shit about black people, but you ain't saying nothing about what's going on with the other half of your race. Whites also account for roughly 59% of offenders in simple assault cases, exceeding their share of the U.S. population. Larceny theft. Whites consistently lead in total arrests for larceny theft. Arson. Whites represent the highest proportion of arrests for arson, more than 71% according to some sources. And you're talking about we need a spiritual cleansing. Wasn't there a white guy out there in California they caught trying to set an entire section of California on fire?
And he went up to this hilltop, and at some point up there around 12:12 a.m. he ignited a fire.
Did this Uber driver start one of the most devastating fires in LA history, the Palisades fire? 29-year-old Jonathan Rinderknecht was taken into custody and is charged with setting a small fire on New Year's Day that burned underground, eventually erupting a week later into the Palisades fire that devastated the wealthy neighborhood.
He dropped someone off. He was in this neighborhood, and he went up to this hilltop around 12:12 a.m. He ignited a fire.
During the investigation, two of his passengers described his mood the night the fire was ignited.
He appeared agitated and angry that night.
The arrest comes after a 9-month investigation.
He was the only person in this location at the time this fire ignited. We have no other indication that any other person was there. There were no fireworks at the time.
As evidence, authorities cited these images he generated of a burning city via AI. They also say in the weeks leading up to the fire, Rinderknecht watched a music video that shows a French rapper starting small fire.
Come on now, who would do some shit like that? A demonic person. Burglary. Ooh, you would think that would be blacks, right? Whites are responsible for the majority of burglary cases. So we're not the ones just burglarizing everything. That's crazy. Vandalism. Most arrests for vandalism are of white individuals. Driving under the influence. Whites overwhelmingly lead in DUI arrests. And guess what? A lot of people die every single year as a result of DUI. Real talk.
This is the moment a man was sentenced to a minimum of 32 years for a DUI crash that left 5 people dead. The crash happened when Matthew Carrier blew through a stop sign driving at around 100 miles per hour whilst intoxicated. He hit into a Cadillac, killing 3 of the occupants and injuring another 2. The occupants of the Cadillac were returning from a job celebration for Candace Dunn, who had just been awarded the Probation Agent of the Year award hours before she was killed. 2 people sitting in Matthew's car were also unfortunately killed. Prosecutors said Matthew's blood alcohol level at the time of the crash was 0.15. Michigan law considers 0.08 and higher to be drunk driving. Matthew was charged with 19 different counts, including 5 counts of second-degree murder, operating while intoxicated, and a driving on suspended license. The families of all 5 victims spoke out in court. The little sister of Justin Henderson, one of the victims, wrote a letter which said, "You, Matthew, killed one of the big things that make me happy. It's your fault he's gone." Matthew pleaded no contest to 5 counts of second-degree murder and was sentenced to 32 to 60 years in prison.
Liquor law violations, public order offenses, embezzlement. According to the FBI Uniform Crime Report and other justice statistics, whites are generally underrepresented in violent crimes like homicide and robbery, but overrepresented in property crimes, financial crimes, and public order violations. So basically what y'all do is y'all do crimes that affect people's pockets, people's health, their property and shit like that. Meanwhile, a few black people in the hood kill each other every year and y'all act like that's y'all biggest problem. It's crazy. You know, that affects me. If my neighbor goes and kill another one of my neighbors, I live in a predominantly black neighborhood. Why are y'all always talking about it? As if it affects y'all. It doesn't. It's crazy. But this shit here that y'all be doing, that affects everybody. Let's call a spade a spade. But anyways, guys, if you like what I was putting down, hit that sub button, man. You know, we're going to educate the people out here.